The US just redeployed perhaps its most deadly bomber back to Iran, as not only had the nightly strikes continued, but the focus has dramatically shifted, as Iran proxies now begin operating in the Red Sea. Plus, the Ukrainian F-16 did something we haven't seen in over 7 years, and Russia may have just lost one of its most prized stealth fighters. I'm Thomas Mott, this is MachSquawk. Well, the US CENTCOM is now 13 days into its renewed targeted strikes on Iran, and its focuses are starting to shift in a dramatic way. All of which comes on the heels of President Trump threatening an even greater escalation. That included heavy bombers returning back to the theater this past week. As US CENTCOM themselves posted these videos on Thursday of targets hit this week during the sustained nightly air campaigns, with apparently these targeted strikes going in 4 major categories: maritime capabilities, missile and drone storage facilities, coastal surveillance sites, and of course, air defense assets. But these maritime targets are really the focus of the Pentagon, as they repeatedly frame these strikes as a way to protect commercial shipping, while now also trying to maintain a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And all this is key in understanding what CENTCOM deems as the most important targets over the last week. Its fast attack maritime crafts, its anti-ship missile batteries, and of course communication and maintenance facilities, which includes things like long-range coastal radars, electro-optical sensors, and the other ways that Iran could potentially not only detect tankers but also identify US warships. All of which happened before Thursday, which on Thursday, President Trump issued a brand new ultimatum for the Iranian regime, saying, quote, he's considering a massive attack on Iran that is bigger than ever before. And it appears it might be in response to what the Houthis are now doing to now Saudi ships in the Red Sea. As according to Axios, Houthi rebels attacked Saudi ships for the first time this week since they announced a blockade on the Saudi ports, with U.S. officials warning that Iran wants to use the Houthis to create a new front in the Red Sea, in addition to the Gulf, to create pressure on another critical international oil shipping route. As several commercial vessels working their way through the Red Sea were seen changing course on Wednesday in response to fear over more Houthi attacks. And all of this appears to be part of the main reason why the U.S. just confirmed they have brought back one of their most feared bombers in the Iran conflict. As according to multiple outlets, some of the strikes carried out over the past 72 hours were done by B-1 Lancers that deployed out of the UK. As the swept-wing, non-stealth bones were of course part of the strikes, but CENTCOM did refuse to confirm which ones and where they were actually deployed, with an IRGC-connected news outlet also confirming the use of the UK-based B-1s, saying, quote, as the officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also stated, any base that is used to invade Iran's territory is our legitimate goal, which prompted the US and UK to confirm the arrival of 2 EC-37s to Britain earlier this week to help with any potential threats Iran could somehow lob the UK's way, as these modified Gulfstream G550s are a form of airborne early warning systems, basically a huge upgrade to the aging EC-130 fleet that offers brand new capabilities, including the ability to jam military radios, degrade enemy radar, and of course seed support. And even though it's not exactly clear how Iran could target a UK base thousands of miles away, it is very clear that the US and obviously the United Kingdom are taking zero chances. Similar to what they did earlier in the campaign when US bones helped conduct several missions during Operation Epic Fury, as the bomber is capable of carrying 24 2,000-pound bombs and of course dozens of cruise missiles, all of which means that the United States is escalating the Iran war back to a point they have brought back the one bomber with perhaps one of the largest conventional bomb loads in its entire arsenal, and it's now striking targets back in Iran. And because it has not only supersonic dash capability, but also these precision-guided bombs and standoff weapons, Bones right now are really a perfect option, not only for multiple target sets, but hitting dispersed military infrastructure all across Iran. All of which is very big news. Obviously now we are 13 days into the brand new renewed strikes. They're happening every single night. It does appear like things are escalating to yet another boiling point. I'll keep an eye on that. But Bones, they're in the UK, they're launching into Iran, and the US is taking a lot of maritime facilities, boats, and other stuff out right now. Now, moving on to the next big story, which is happening actually in the other combat front to the northeast, we finally have more details on the downed Russian fighter from a few weeks ago, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dan Kane, told US lawmakers earlier this week that it was in fact a Ukrainian F-16 that shot down a Russian Su-57, and what is being confirmed as the first of its kind action by a US-made jet since its arrival to the Ukraine. And this is a massive deal because it actually goes against the original story as to how this Russian Su-57 was downed, which really took place a couple of weeks ago. And that initial report did suggest that Ukraine potentially used multiple F-16s to lure a Russian Su-57 within hidden Patriot missile range, resulted in the American-built SAM site to actually score the MiG kill and not the F-16. Although, if Kane and the other outlets are now to be believed, this would be instead the first air-to-air kill by a Ukrainian flying an American fighter jet throughout the entire Eastern conflict. It also marks the first F-16 Viper confirmed air-to-air kill potentially in 7 years. As potentially the last time an F-16 had an air-to-air kill of a manned enemy jet was back in 2019. It was a Pakistani F-16 that took down an Indian MiG. Although it is worth noting that report has widely been disputed, including by India itself. But if you want to go even further back to the true last confirmed air-to-air kill, that would be 2015, when a Turkish F-16 shot down a Russian Su-24 near the Syrian border. And then go back even further to the last time an American flying an F-16 had an air-to-air kill. That was actually in 1993. As back in January of that year, an American-piloted Viper took down an Iraqi MiG-23 flogger over southern Iran during Operation Southern Watch. And so while, of course, war propaganda is at an all-time high right now, we don't know 100% for sure this F-16 did take down a Russian Su-35. If Raising Cane is actually correct, and if all these reported outlets are actually true, it's the first Ukrainian air-to-air kill from an F-16 Viper and the first Viper kill in a very long time. Now, the other major fighter news, again coming out of Russia and the Ukraine conflict, comes via The Aviationist, which highlights multiple online claims that the military aircraft that crashed near Moscow on July 23rd was in fact one of the Russian Aerospace Forces' prized 5th-generation Su-57s, with The Aviationist writing, quote, "Images that emerged on Telegram and later on X show the immediate aftermath of the crash in an open field near Moscow, with flames and thick billowing smoke. However, in these images of the crash already published, there is no visible debris that could help identify the aircraft. The Russian MOD later confirmed the incident and specified there were no casualties, but did not name the aircraft, as per a quote attributed to it by many unofficial Russian military bloggers. On July 23rd of this year, a training and combat aircraft crashed in Moscow region during takeoff. The pilot ejected safely, and his life is not in danger. The aircraft crashed in a deserted area, and there is no damage to the ground," said the statement. But then, in a translated post from a Russian business outlet, the Su-57 was in fact named, saying, quote, "A Su-57 fighter jet crashed in an urban district, the pilot ejected, and there were no injuries. The investigative committee of the Russian Federation has opened a criminal case for violating flight regulations or preparations for such, Article 351 of the Russian Criminal Code," a source reported. As according to that source, the crash occurred during a training flight, the aircraft was unarmed. In addition to the investigative committee, military experts and a defense ministry commission will investigate the cause of the accident. And all of that is a lot to say that we don't officially know if it was a Su-57, but multiple online outlets are saying, yeah, in fact it was, and if it was, that's a big deal. Because if confirmed, this would be the second reported crash of the 5th-generation fighter, with the first and only crash up to that point happening during test flights all the way back in 2019, all of which comes on the heels of Russia heavily pushing for the international sales of their two-seat version, the more exportable version, which was only recently revealed. And obviously, training incidents happen all the time, but if this was in fact a Su-57 that crashed during a training exercise, not even taken down during the Ukraine conflict with Russia, they lost yet another one of these airframes, and they only have so many, and that is certainly a massive deal. Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening here on MachSquawk the next couple of days and weeks. Plenty more news. There's a lot going on right now. Trying to give you guys multiple videos per week and tons of shorts. We're almost to 13,500 subscribers here and growing every single day. If you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, drop a like. You can also follow my other social media channels. I'll link them down below. Instagram, TikTok as well. We cover a ton of stuff here on the channel. And again, I appreciate you guys watching, hyping, dropping comments. I read every single one. I'm Thomas Mott, though, signing off. This has been MachSquawk.